Hey everybody, this is Unit 6 Formative 1, Video 5. We're going to be talking about scatter plots. Okay, so before we actually start making some scatter plots, we need to have a few vocab terms here. First of all, a correlation is when two sets of data are strongly linked, but there's actually no evidence that changes one variable. That changes in one variable will cause a change in the other. So an example of this would be the number of people living in a city and the number of mailboxes that are there. There's most likely a correlation, but there's no evidence that the number of people living in the city will necessarily make the number of mailboxes go up. A causal relationship, on the other hand, is actually when that one variable causes a change in the other. So, in other words, the amount of food you eat and the number of calories you consume. So you eat more food, the number of calories you consume goes up. All right, so when you're looking at a graph then of a positive correlation, we're going to talk about scatter plots. The graph of a scatter plot for a positive correlation would look something like this. So in other words, the data would be skewed up. Okay, a negative correlation, on the other hand, would look something like this, where the data is going down. No correlation would mean that you just have dots kind of everywhere on your graph, and there's no real trend line for it. All right, so here we want to look at these two situations and tell whether there actually is a correlation. And if there's a correlation, we want to tell whether it's a causal relationship. So the number of hours worked and the amount of money made. So there's obviously a relationship there. The number of hours worked does affect the amount of money that you make. So yes, it is a causal relationship. Now, if we put hours worked down here and the money made here, okay, your data will go up with the number of hours you work, the more money you make. So this is a positive correlation and it's a causal relationship. Okay, number 5 here, the amount of time you practice in your swim meet times. Well, as you practice more, your swim meet times go down. So this would actually be a negative correlation because as one goes up, the other goes down. And this is also going to be a causal relationship because one affects the other directly. All right, and our last thing here, we want to talk about trend line. So a trend line is basically a line that can be drawn through the data that best fits the graph. So here we have a scatter plot talking about the daily temperature and the number of visitors on a beach. So our trend line here, you're going to draw the best straight line possible, which is going to be kind of difficult here since I'm on the iPad, but you guys would use a ruler here or something with a straight edge. And my trend line there goes through my data the best possible. Okay, actually let me redraw this here. So we actually want to draw it so that it would make sense in terms of this problem. So about like there. So notice how there's about the same number of points above and below that trend line. And now we want to find the equation. Well, first of all, let's pick 2 points here. So we're going to use 0, 0. And then let's actually pick this point up here. So that would be the point 96, 600. All right, so basically what I want to do is first I'm going to find my slope. And we did that, remember, by y1 minus y2 over x1 minus x2. So we're using the points 0, 0 and 96, 600. So remember, this is your x1, this is y1, x2, and y2. So we're going to take y1, which is 0 minus 600, all over 0 minus 96. Well, that gives you negative 600 over negative 96, which if we simplify that, you can actually just divide those two numbers out in your calculator, and you're going to get 6.25. So your slope then is 6.25. Okay, your y-intercept, or remember we abbreviate that with B, is where it crosses the y-axis. Well, the y-axis is this one right here, and it's going to cross right down here. So, or it's going to cross at 0. Your y-intercept will not always be 0. It just depends on what you get there. Okay, so again, I picked 2 points on my graph, 0, 0, because it right here, always pick the one that's on your y-intercept. So if it's up here, we would have picked 0, 225. Okay, but it picked 0, 0 because it crossed there, and then we picked up here because it crossed in the corner of a box there. And then we're just going to write our equation from there. So remember, y equals mx plus b, where m and b are your slope and y-intercept. So y equals 6.25x plus 0, and there's your equation. And you leave the y and x there. Okay, so now using your equation, how many visitors would the beach have if the temperature was 99 degrees? Well, this right here is your x value. So you're going to plug that in for x. So y equals 6.25 times 99 plus 0, and you end up with 618.75. Doesn't make sense to have 0.75 of a visitor, so we're actually going to just change this to 619 visitors. All right, and that is how you would find the equation of your trend line and estimate something. You guys will obviously all probably have something a little bit different just based on the points that you pick and where you estimate your y-intercept to be, and that's okay as long as you guys show your work on your test. All right, we will see you guys later. Make sure you guys took notes.